following announcement has been paid for by the
Mark Order.
Welcome to the Elite Mark Order podcast, where we're reviewing AEW's Dynamite from last night, Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. I'm CosmicScott. My co-host is JayV. The Elite Marks are in the chat, and we're going to get right into the tippity-top most important thing from the show last night. Karen Jarrett is all elite. Okay, no, seriously. It was the reunion of What's that?
That's what everyone was hoping to see, Karen Jarrett, getting involved. I'm hoping she can have a title shot against Jade at Double or Nothing.
Absolutely. You know what? We totally need more Jeff Jarrett influence. That's what I'm saying. Right. Seriously, the top of the show, most important thing, the way it closed out, and it was a fantastic ending segment, was the reunion of Hangman, the Bucks, and Omega to reform the full-powered elite, the true elite of all elite wrestling. And just in time for anarchy in the arena match at Double or Nothing against the Blackpool Combat Club. So let's go over it real quick, Jay. What did you think of the segment? Started off with Callis getting some massive heat, coming down with security, and just being the douchebag that he is.
Yeah, Killis got some massive heat as usual. And you had Kenny come out, you had the Bucks come out, and then Hangman's music hit and blew the roof off the arena when he walked up and stood next to Kenny. Kenny hands Hangman the barbed wire broom, the cleaner trademark, showing that Kenny has forgiven the issues they had in the past and that the original elite is back together, minus Cody. But
does he count?
That is where he does count, but that's as good as we're going to get in AEW at the moment. And it was a great moment. It was definitely one of my favorite moments in AEW. It's not often, you get chills watching wrestling. I did get chills seeing them reunited. I always enjoyed Hangman on BTE. I always enjoyed Hangman teaming with the Bucks and teaming with Kenny. So it's great to see them finally back together after this story, which has taken, I don't know, I want to say 3 years. It's been a 3-year journey, so it's awesome to see them all back together.
It has been about 3 years since they've been full power. This is their main story. This has been their main story since AEW started, is getting Hangman over, is being their top story, is these four guys and their journey together. So anybody says, where's the story? Fuck you, here's the story. I happen to enjoy it. Let me just kind of go over this really quickly. It started off with Callis coming out with his security guards. They were going to protect him from Kenny. He had massive heat. He only said 3 or 4 words, and he was just drowned out by the crowd. Kenny came out, started brawling with the security. BCC came out, and they started brawling with Kenny. They put him down. Then they swaggered themselves to the ring and started their promo where Moxley continued from earlier, basically ending it with, "We're the real elite." And I love that. I love that angle that the Blackpool Combat Club is coming at this, where they're trying to prove that they are truly the top of the card, not the elite. And I like that, because if they win and they knock those guys out, all that conversation about the elites don't draw goes away, because we know that Moxley and Bryan Danielson and all those guys do draw. But as they're talking their smack, Kenny kind of staggers around a little bit, doing his funny, goofy sell. The Bucks come out. They're hurt because they got jumped earlier in the night by the Blackpool Combat Club, but they have the equalizers. They have weapons. They have, as you said, the broom covered in barbed wire. They have the big metal can with the 2x4. Oh! They had a bunch of weapons, and they were ready to go. And then, as Kenny picks up his shield, his garbage can lid, holds it like a shield, then Hangman's music hits, and there's this massive pop. I love to see him come back. The audience loves him. He is one of the biggest stars AEW has. They keep working him. He's in his gear. He's got the eye patch on. He takes the broom, as you said. He takes the broom from Kenny in this magical moment that they have, reuniting the 4 primary members of the Elite. Fuck Cody. And then they run down to the ring, and there's this great image of Kenny holding his shield, running, looking like Captain America. We posted it in the Discord. I thought it was great. Don't forget to join the Discord. Go into Discord to click the link down below. Don't forget you can also go to EliteMarkOrder.com, click on Join the Discord, and join the conversation there. You can check out these funny images. I love seeing Kenny as Captain America. I wanted to Photoshop it, but I'm not that good. They cleared house. I love the fact that at one point Omega even hit a shield bash against Yuta into the corner, fucked him up. And then, they cleared house. They had their moment. They put BCC on their heels. They came together in the ring, and Hangman had his big speech at the end. We are the heart. We are the soul. We are the spirit of this place. And we are the Elite. That was how they ended the show. I thought it was pretty fantastic myself. You couldn't really get a stronger ending, could you?
No, it was definitely a classic ending, and a classic moment to close out the show. The Anarchy in the Arena match being announced for Double or Nothing is going to be fun. It's unfortunately I would prefer to have seen like a singles match or tag match come out of this. But the 4-on-4s are always crowd pleasers. They tend to get great ratings, great responses by the crowd. I know the last Double or Nothing had the Anarchy in the Arena match with Jericho Appreciation Society versus Bryan and Santana and Ortiz and it was in Mox. It was a pretty crazy match with a crazy ending, and I believe the match got 5 stars. So this one could be a shoe-in for 5 stars, given the ridiculous amount of talent in it. I think as far as 4-on-4 goes, you have 7 of the best in the business right now. I can't say 8 because Wheeler Yuta is not there yet, but it's gonna be an incredible matchup. Really looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting to see if this match is going to be straight up just 4-on-4, if there's going to be shenanigans with Takeshita showing up and making interfering in that match. But yeah, it good setup. Really interesting. They have a lot they can still do in this feud with adding Takeshita, adding Kota Ibushi. There's still a lot of things that can happen. BCC could bring someone else in other than Takeshita to even up the odds as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be Takeshita to get this to a 5-on-5. But yeah, excellent angles, excellent stories, and it's I think it's one of the you're not going to see too many matches with 8 people with guys this talented. I mean, you have like 6, 7 legit main eventers in this match. It's going to be great.
Absolutely, and the fact is, Anarchy in the Arena, that style of match, it's not something anybody else does. It got 5 stars for the least technical kind of match you could possibly have. And that says a lot. That says a lot about the fact that it is that good when executed well. And again, 7 of the 8 contestants are world class, and the 8th isn't terrible. So I have some hope for the Anarchy in the Arena match, for all of Double or Nothing, and of course for the rest of the show, for all of the entire promotion. There's still some shenanigans. There's still some backstage stuff going on. So we'll have to see how things shake out here in the next week or two. But still excited and still interested to see where the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club end up going. So the next segment we're going to get into is going to be the Spot of the Week. Now, this week, it's actually brought to you by a sponsor, which is Booking.com. So find amazing deals for all your flights, hotels, and car rentals when you go to All In at Wembley Stadium coming up in London, England in August 27th. Be sure to use the link in the description down below to save. So, on to the Spot of the Week. For me, the spot that really made me gasp, made me go, oh my God, was in the Jungle Boy versus Roosh match. I'm sure, Jay, you know the spot I'm immediately thinking of. And that was an overhead belly to belly from the apron to the floor. Roosh, Jungle Boy ran at him. Roosh threw him over his head. It's a simple move. They do it in the ring constantly. It's not like it went wrong, but what it looked like is that because it went from the apron to the floor, Jungle Boy tried not to over-rotate. And as a result, he under-rotated, damn near killed himself, landed on his face, and I thought for sure he was dead. But he was okay. Therefore, it is the match, the spot of the week for me was Jungle Boy getting just damn near killed by Roosh. What about you, Jay? What was your spot of the week?
I gotta agree, it was a scary spot. Jungle Boy almost did not fully make that rotation over. The last thing you want to see is someone land on their face on the floor. He came pretty close, but yeah, glad everyone was okay. Or glad Jungle Boy was okay after that. It was a pretty nasty spot, and just you generally have a couple decent spots like that in a Jungle Boy match, and this one did not let us down.
I mean, there were some other good spots. Don't get me wrong; it was a great match, and we'll get into it later. But man, for spot of the week, that one really stood out, and hopefully Jungle Boy's 100%. He did finish the match. He looked okay, but man, was that scary. So on to the start of the show we go, and instead of starting with a match, we start with a Wardlow promo. He comes out, he gets into the ring, and he calls out Christian, who, fair enough, he is feuding with. So Christian comes out, he's standing there in the ring with the right hand of doom, Luchasaurus, the giant dinosaur. The first comment from my wife, who was watching with me today: what the hell does he have on his shoulder? The big spiky thing. She had no idea what Luchasaurus's deal was. So credit to him. It makes no sense. Either way, they get into their conversation. They go back and forth. It's a good sell for their match. Ultimately, Christian gets a low blow. They beat him down. And ultimately, Christian poses with the belt. It was a real quick, easy segment. It was an interesting way to start the show. Wasn't the full 20-minute promo, but it did start with a promo. How'd you think about that?
I mean, I still wish we were getting Luchasaurus versus Wardlow at Double or Nothing. I think the thing that stands out here is, I mean, it's really just more of the same. It's pretty formulaic what went on with the interview, the 2-on-1. But I think the thing that like probably stood out to me most about this segment was how much bigger Luchasaurus is than Wardlow. Like, yeah, Luchasaurus is a lot fucking bigger than Wardlow.
Not just that, but when he was standing there at one point, he did the T pose, and his tries, he's got some massive arms. I don't think I'd know. I mean, I knew he was big, I knew he was built, but man, he put his arm out and those straps on his leather, his big spiky thingy that my wife wondered about. That really accented his muscles. And I was like, damn, that boy's got some traps on him. I didn't realize that before.
Yeah, I think Luchasaurus is definitely jacked. He's, I think he's underutilized. We haven't seen a lot of him, especially since he's gone heel. I think he's only had the one or two matches. The cage match versus Jungle Boy, which he lost. And I don't think he has not, I don't believe he's fought since then. I'd have to look it up, but it's we got the other thing I wanted to mention about this segment was there was a couple really nasty ladder spots. We talked about the spot of the week. These were definitely up there. Wardlow took a couple really nasty ladder bumps. Just the way the ladder bent when he got choke slammed onto it was kind of funny. It didn't seem like it bent the way they expected, and it's so a little bit dangerous there. And of course, setting up the ladder match against Christian, who was, kind of one of the original innovators of the high risk, I guess you could call them, ladder matches. Where Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and the Hardys took ladder matches to a level like way, way beyond anything we had seen before. So it's cool that Christian is getting this match kind of in his territory. I guess it remains to see what Christian can do in a ladder match at 49, and how is he the kind of bumps he's going to be taking at his age and his recent injury history. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an intriguing matchup. As much as I don't really care to see these WWE guys that are Christian's 49, that are almost 50 or 50 and over. We got three WWE guys, former WWE guys, who are getting title shots at Double or Nothing, and they're all over 50. You know, between Christian, Billy Gunn, and
Jarret.
Yep, JJ. So I don't know. It's just not the original spirit of AEW for something like that to be going on. And I think it reflects in the ticket sales right now. I mean, Double or Nothing's ticket sales, last I checked, were hovering around 7,000. You got Raw and SmackDowns later this month that are drawing 8,500 people, and it's like, why isn't Double or Nothing doing better? And I think it's because, you know, two of the matches they have set up are great, but the rest of the card and the rest of the momentum is a little lackluster right now. Despite these high ratings we're seeing on Cage Match and all the praise, I think things could be a little more exciting, and I think that's being reflected in the ticket sales for this specific event. You know,
and a lot of their attention is on All In, not Double or Nothing, not Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is I heard a bunch of promos for All In. I heard them talking about Wembley, and then they were building towards Double or Nothing, but it was just like assumed whatever they sold for Double or Nothing, they're just going to get some walk-ups and they're happy with it. So, you know, maybe they didn't sell as much for Double or Nothing. Maybe their ticket sales for that are a little lackluster. I think London, you know, Wembley getting 60,000 plus shows there's still a demand. And, you know, again, a little bit of different management from where they're going in the territory. Maybe a little West Coast trip would be in store. I saw an advertisement for San Diego. You know, get some West Coast stuff in there and get some different crowds. They've played out the East Coast. So I think the trip through Canada, which they have coming up, Tony's announcement confirmed, I think that's going to get some crowd livelihood. I think going on the West Coast would be good for crowd responses. I think a lot of the lagging ticket sales are because they have been in those markets so many times.
Yeah, it's their, I think, third Double or Nothing show in Vegas. I can't remember if one of them was preempted and was done in Jacksonville because of the pandemic, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think that, you know, there'll be more to discuss about this exact topic when we get to Tony's announcement. So maybe we should move on to our next segment.
So the next segment actually is the very beginning of the first match, which of course is Orange Cassidy, which I happen to think they're doing on purpose, keeping Orange in the first match because you know you're going to get a good match. However, this was a tag match. It was Orange Cassidy and Darby versus Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. Now, number one, they noted the firm is dead. There is no more firm. Firm is gone. So, good news there. Kind of a weird, out of nowhere, Orange Cassidy, Darby pairing up. But apparently, they were working together on the house shows and worked out. So, here we go. I like Big Bill and I like Lee Moriarty as a pairing. And I thought this match worked out pretty good to showcase Bill especially. At the beginning of the match, I noticed Bill must have stolen Nick Comoroto's lollipop because he had a lollipop. And that's Nick Comoroto's gimmick. Where is Nick Comoroto?
I don't know.
I haven't seen him in forever. I used to only see him on Dark. Now, who knows where we're going to see him. Either way, Big Bill stole his lollipop. So I thought there was a lot of great action in this match. As a matter of fact, there was a spot of the night contender. And that was when Darby and Big Bill locked up. Bill swung Darby 2 or 3 times in the lockup, then just let him go. Darby slung himself to the mat, just kind of spun to the mat, and Bill walked away casually like, yeah, he's tiny. So it was a great big man, little man spot, and damn near spot of the night for me. Otherwise, it was a really good matchup. Darby used his speed along with Orange Cassidy doing all of his normal spots. At one point, there was the Lee Moriarty he had I think it was Darby in what looked like a Gordy special, Guerrero special, where he had the head on one side and wrapped around his back and legs on the other side, and he was spinning around, and he spun him, landed on the mat, and transferred immediately into a crossface. So I thought it was an amazing transition wrestling spot from Lee Moriarty. In addition, at the end, there was a lot of good spots going back and forth. There was a lot of great action in the very end with Darby Allin getting the coffin drop, but electing to end it with a headlock takeover into a pin as a message for MJF. I thought it was a really great opening match. Again, selling the 4 pillars. Orange Cassidy, during the match, sold his back, his arm, his legs, his fist. Still got all of his spots in. Still wrestled amazingly well, though injured. Once again, Orange shows match of the night, most likely. I loved it.
I enjoyed the match. I would, the team of Darby and Orange is kind of interesting. They have had a few tag matches on the House Rules tour. They beat Hobbs and QT Marshall. They beat Big Bill and Lee Moriarty in Kentucky, and in their previous match, they beat Butcher and the Blade in Troy, Ohio. So they've had 3 House Rules matches, and they did tag together with Sting against Butcher and Blade and Kip a few weeks ago on Dynamite. And then going back a little further, back in 2017, they didn't tag together, but Orange Cassidy, when he was Fire Ant, was in a 5-way match with Darby Allin, Grant Akuma, and a couple other guys I'm not familiar with. And Fire Ant or Orange Cassidy won that match. So Orange and Darby.
Fire Ant. What a
Ant.
wonderful gimmick that must have been.
And there was all the other ants too. There was like Blue Ant and Green Ant.
Doesn't surprise me. Like Super Machine and Giant Machine.
Right. But I think it's I'd love to see Orange bring that gimmick back somehow at some point.
If they had a storyline where he gets banned and he has to come back like Hogan did, or
right.
any wrestler ever comes back under the mask and then just does his sloth style, like is obviously OC under the mask. I think that would be great.
Moriarty looked good in this match. Moriarty, back in the day, they'd have him wrestle on Dark, and the announcers would be like, "Oh, Moriarty's great. He's the future. This guy has so much talent." And I was always well, I mean, he's okay, but so I've always questioned, he comes out with that mask on, which I don't think is a great gimmick. I don't know why he comes out with the mask. But I thought he shined in this match. I thought
he did.
The match you talked about where he transitioned into the crossface with that move, that was pretty solid, and he looked good, and I like the team of him and Big Bill. I like having the big guy to mix things up, to change his style, and of course, who better to work with Big Bill than fucking Darby and Orange? I mean,
they're gonna let
Big Bill toss him all over the fucking place. So.
He did. He looked great. His charisma came out. He did the pockets thing again, like he did against OC. He's really starting to connect with the audience, which I talk about constantly. That's the key to being successful, not just in wrestling, but especially in AEW. You could be Zack Ryder and connect with the audience in WWE and still get pushed down the fucking stairs, written off, and fired. In AEW, if you connect with the audience, generally TK is going to notice and start giving you more and more opportunity. So, especially if you're 7 foot tall, because you can't teach that.
That's right.
So,
I was just going to say 2 more quick comments on this one from me.
Yeah.
So Orange Cassidy still working those injuries, selling those injuries during the match, and it's gone from his hand being all taped up to he has tape on his lower back now. I don't know if that's a legit injury or it's a work, but it's good to see well, I don't know that it's good to see Orange being hurt, but I'm enjoying the progression of this story where he continues to put his body on the line, and it's starting to take a toll.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool story there with him. And my other comment was, I can't remember what I was gonna say, so I'll just say, yeah, Big Bill looked really good.
Fair enough. I think at the end of it, it did its job. Everybody looked good coming out of it. Darby, of course, looked good doing the coffin drop, getting his head locked, doing his top of the card stuff. Orange with his belt, selling his angles, and Big Bill and Lee Moriarty coming out, taking the loss, but looking good in the loss. So I got nothing but praise for this opening match. The next,
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that it was a good match, but it was the fourth highest rated match on the show at a 7.1, which is a good rating for a match like this, which is kind of throwaway. But yeah, I was surprised that I thought this would be like one of the 2 or 3, not 4. But that speaks to how good the card was, or how good the matches were last night.
I thought it was kind of okay as far as the card goes, but again, on review, the matches were better than I remembered. So
yeah,
I guess I was just off last night.
Mm.
So the next segment we go to is the backstage with the Garage, where the Bucks get beat down by the BCC. We talked about that previously. I do like the fact that Nick's sneakers matched his luggage. They were both the same color blue. And then Moxley ended the segment with his promo, looking in the camera saying, "We are the elite of this business." And that set up the ending, earlier, or that we talked about earlier, where he said, "We are the elite." And then Hangman got to end with, "We are the elite." So that's kind of the back and forth of this particular feud. And I like the backstage beatdown. I thought it was fun. And then it gave the heroes entrance for the Bucks when they came late in the show. So it was a fun little segment.
Yeah, good setup for Bucks later in the show, getting their asses kicked and just showing that there's going to be more to come here. I was surprised the BCC could have really destroyed the Bucks, but they chose not to. And Matt Jackson is still really favoring that arm. His arm still looks questionable with that big ass brace on it. And I don't know if he's cleared or what, but it'll be real interesting to see how close to 100% Matt goes at Anarchy in the Arena. It almost seems to me, and I guess I'm kind of concerned, like, should he be having surgery on his arm and taking time off, to get...
Yes, immediately after the pay-per-view.
But, well, see, the thing is, if he goes out on injury, his contract is going to be extended by Khan. And the Bucks won't have the ability to negotiate together come the end of the year. And that goes for Kenny, too. So, yeah, that could throw a big wrench into things,
Hard to know. To know.
So I think Matt's going to do everything he can to not go out on injury leave. So we'll see how things hold up. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned about it.
This is a big year.
What's going to happen here? It is.
It's a big year. There's a lot of contracts at stake. So we'll see where things go.
A lot of big shows we need the Bucks to shine on. So
that too. So we immediately go from backstage with the Bucks to another backstage segment with teleporting Renee. There's a lot of her. She's backstage with Wardlow, who has ice on his head, and she's asking him about being beat down. And in comes Arn, and he pretends to be mad, and he throws the bag of ice very poorly with his very, very, very neurologically damaged left hand, and he basically gets in the face of Wardlow and says, "Are you ready to do anything?" And Wardlow's like, "Yes, I'm going to face him on his own territory," and he makes the ladder match with Christian. So we talked about that. I think a ladder match is a good idea as long as Christian can hold up his end physically and not get too damaged. Will Wardlow win? I don't even know anymore. They give him week-long runs. So he might win, he might not win. I don't even know.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about the ladder match and this kind of set it up with Wardlow challenging Christian to the ladder match.
Yep.
And I don't think there's anything else left for me to discuss on that topic.
Except for Arn being Arn.
Yep.
So we go from that backstage segment with Renee to another backstage segment with Renee. Now, I think this was done in between commercials. I'm not sure. But either way, it was Renee again. And this time it was with Orange talking about his title. And he said, you know what? Anybody who wants to fight me for it at Double or Nothing, just go to talk to Toni about that. And that was the end of the segment. We find out later, we don't need to wait. We find out later, 20 people lined up at Tony Khan's office to get a title shot. So he includes himself. He asks Renee. She says no. He says, great, 21. Blackjack Battle Royal at Double or Nothing for his title. Bam. Now we have 20 people on the card who previously had no match. And he gets to just, get beat down, get thrown around, and still potentially come out with his title. I like it. I like the idea. And I like the idea of a lot of people getting that payday that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, it's I guess I'm kind of disappointed that Orange isn't going to get a singles match at the pay-per-view. I mean, that's one of the, you can count on that being one of the better matches on the show. Instead, Orange is relegated to a battle royal, which doesn't increase the overall, appeal of the show. So I guess I'm not really happy with that decision. But who was Orange going to fight anyway? They were booking him against one of the Aussie Open guys. And it was like, that didn't really make any sense. And then they just changed that to, it's going to be, a battle royal now. I thought it was kind of
he disappeared. What happened to that dude? He's gone. They didn't talk about him at all.
I don't know. I don't know if he was on Rampage or what. I don't know. Let me look that guy up real quick. I can't even. Yeah,
Kyle, whatever his name was.
Yeah, Kyle.
I don't know. It was very odd because they set him up for a title match last week. And this week they didn't do anything. They set up the Battle Royal title match. They didn't talk about Kyle at all, Aussie Open at all. It was just very, very, very weird. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
He fought Andretti on Rampage, and that kind of was setting up his title shot, but now it's just the Battle Royal. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. The Kyle Fletcher getting a title shot, I guess for an international standpoint.
Yeah.
He has been on the show before, so I guess it made sense from that standpoint, but
Orange has said before, if you want a shot, just ask.
Right.
So he doesn't have an open challenge. He's got, just ask me for a shot. There's a totally different mood versus the open challenge. I'm better than you. No. This isn't the athletic over the top. This is, you want the belt? Fine, come get it. I love Orange Cassidy, by the way. His character is the best. So we made the open challenge. We know 21 people. We move on to Sammy Guevara and his 1 minute match against Excelsior Prime or whatever his name was, Exodus Prime. And then he cut a promo, an absolute 100% babyface promo where he ended saying his heart says he's going to be the new AEW champion. Now, I found it interesting. I pointed this out to my wife. When Sammy came out for his match, people booed him. They announced he was from Texas. People cheered him. By the end of his 1 minute match, people were cheering him. By the end of his promo, he was getting massive applause. They've turned Sammy face. They've been working at it for a while. I think this is the official he's a face promo. It's very interesting. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, like you said, I think you hit it exactly what happened. Like, people still boo Sammy, but then they cheer him during his match and they cheer him after his match. It just seems like that's unless he's doing heel shit, that's basically what happens, because Sammy always puts on a hell of a show, and that's why Tony's used him so consistently over the 4 years of AEW that we've had. So yeah, I think what's interesting about Guevara right now is he's kind of been working Darby and Jungle Boy, saying, one of us got to beat MJF. So it's going to be interesting to see the alliances that are formed and then broken in the main event of Double or Nothing. But just, a lot of history between the four pillars, and it's going to be an awesome main event. I think it's going to be one of the best AEW main events at Double or Nothing, despite it not creating the demand that like a CM Punk main event or a Moxley main event against MJF might have. I think it's going to be a hell of a match.
You got to give these guys a chance, man. Sammy is just barely cracking 30. And MJF is in his 20s. We know he's phenomenal. These guys are in the earliest stages of their superstardom. And you're comparing it to Punk, who had, a dozen years or whatever he had in WWE to become a star. So it's hard for me to say, they don't draw like Punk. No, they don't. They don't draw like guys who are in the biggest company in the world, in the wrestling world, for, 10, 12 years building their name up. No. But they are doing great building new stars, which is what WCW failed at a very visceral level. Other than Goldberg and maybe DDP, no real stars were made during the Bischoff years at WCW. So,
well, Glenn Gilberti at Disco Inferno. I mean, we were just talking about that the other night.
So anybody who says that this is comparable to WCW is totally out of their fucking mind.
Right.
So after Sammy Guevara had his match, there was a Four Pillars promo, which video package, which I thought was phenomenal. I thought they're selling it great. They're showing some of the moves they've done. Sammy is insane. Darby is insane. Jungle Boy has taken some punishment. And MJF is an entertainer. That's what the package told me. So, I'm interested in the match. Let's get to it. For that, there's not much to say about the Pillars package other than it's great. The next segment is, of course, the highlight of the night. 5 stars. Tony Schiavone in the ring calls out Jeff Jarrett and the rest of his crew. Now, what's funny is they stop at the top of the ramp, start posing. They've got the 2 guitars with Dax and Cash's name. They're doing their thing. Out come FTR. They take out Satnam Singh by throwing him off the stage. Down goes the Giant. And then they just attack Triple J. They beat him down. At one point, by the way, Dax was literally stripping Jay Lethal during this beatdown. At one point, Jay Lethal throws a knee into Dax's middle, and Dax sells it. Dax is still wearing the title at this time. Lethal threw a knee into a metal title, and Dax sold as if it hurt him. I think that was the goofiest spot. Otherwise, it was just a classic beatdown. It ended up at the very end. Out came Karen Jarrett. She gives the low blow. Everybody gets their moves in. Satnam chokeslams FTR, and they stand tall at the very end, holding the belts as if they're going to win. Now, obviously, satellites unite. Satnam Singh is the best. JJ for life. These guys are clearly going to win. But if somehow they don't win, how could they not win? They have Karen. They have Satnam. They have fucking Sanjay Dutt. They have guitars with Dax and Cash's name on it. You have Jay Lethal, who's phenomenal. You have Mark Briscoe, who's clearly upset with FTR. And then you have just 2 guys, FTR. How can they stand up to the mighty power of the Triple J? It can't happen. They're going to lose.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I know you love your never bet against JJ mantra, but I won't be picking Jarrett and Lethal at the pay-per-view. I'm not happy that this match is on Double or Nothing at all. I think it's probably the worst match on the show. I don't think Jarrett and Lethal have any chance of winning. I don't think Mark Briscoe as referee is going to make this anymore. I don't know. I'm sure they'll get the crowd to buy in, but I'd rather see FTR have a banger tag team match against 2 technical wrestlers. But this is going to be our comedy match of the night. and there'll be some interesting stuff with the Briscoes. So I guess it is what it is.
That's about it. It's the comedy, and I know you've made your opinion very, very, very plain. You prefer FTR in serious tag matches. You want the tag team division to be a serious division with great matches, and I understand where you're coming from. You're talking about things like the ROH tag matches with the Briscoes versus FTR, like that dog collar match. That's just not where Toni is going with the tag titles right now. I expect there to be some classics coming up, maybe on Collision, maybe at pay-per-views. I don't know, but I expect Dax and Cash to really start a high-end profile with a really good tag team. I don't know who, but I expect it for the summer because they're going to be at All In Wembley. They're going to have a tag match. It's going to be phenomenal. I don't know who it'll be against, but it won't be Jarret. That's for sure. But that was the segment. It is what it is. They're getting a tag match. We go backstage one more time with Renee. Renee is everywhere in this show. She's with Darby. She's interviewing Darby. Sammy comes out. They have their little mutual respect fist bump. Not much to say about that. It's simply Sammy continuing his face turn. Next is the women's match, because we can only have one of those per night. The Outcasts came out, had their match. Now notice, when Jamie Hayter was pulled from the match and it became a 2-on-2, it immediately became Toni Storm and Ruby Soho, and Saraya was not wrestling. I thought that's their best move possible. So versus Shida and Baker with no Hayter. Now, okay, the announcers explain why there's no Hayter. But why was there no Willow? Why is there no Sky Blue? Why was there nobody else to help? You knew Saraya was going to get involved. No explanation. They never bring up Sky Blue. They never bring up Willow anymore. So that's that.
And what happened to Riho? Is Riho back in Japan?
Maybe.
Pipe Riho was getting over. But
yeah, Pipe Riho, man. Come on.
Riho is apparently went back home. It's just not great booking with this stuff. It's the same three people seemingly every week. Nothing's getting anywhere. I do have to say I'm glad about getting a Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter match at the pay-per-view. I hope whatever Hayter's injury issues that she's recovered from that. But Hayter versus Storm is, I think, one of the best possible matches you can have in the women's division in AEW. So I'm really looking forward to that one. When they fought last time, I thought their match was incredible. So I'm looking forward to seeing them go at it again for sure.
I agree. I think that Hayter Storm is a phenomenal top of the card match. I want to see Hayter in Wembley as champion. I just want to see that reception. I think she deserves it. If not, Toni Storm is champion works for me too.
Or have her win it back.
Yeah.
Like if she loses the title.
Or, lose it to Paige, right? Paige, triumphant comeback, gets to be the champion, gets to show up in Wembley, gets loose. No, don't get me wrong. I absolutely don't want Paige. If it's Storm Hayter, I'm 100% in. But not Paige. Saraya. Whatever. I did notice during this match, Shida is over. The fans love her. They really, really do. And then Britt Baker showing she deserves to be at the top of the card. At the end, she had some amazing sequences with Ruby Soho. She got in there. She got her lumps in. She got taken advantage of. And she got the loss. She got pinned. She's not afraid to take the win. I kind of, at the end, almost saw her look at the back and wink and say Thunder Rosa's name. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like somebody taking a pin, like Omega taking a pin and saying, hey, Miro, this is how it's done. That kind of thing. So, again, the women came out. They had their match. Yes, it's boring as shit. I'm kind of over it. I'd like to see something new happen. Toni gets into his pattern, especially with the women. Haven't seen Jade in a couple of weeks. She's advertised for Collision. Maybe she'll be on Collision since it's on TBS. No, wait, it's TNT. I don't fucking know anymore. So, anyways, that was the women's match. It was fine. I don't know where this is going anymore. I really don't. This women's title match situation is just in a holding pattern, and I'm bored. So, hopefully something new comes up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you.
So, the next segment, we already covered Renee. Teleporting Renee. We move into TK, who's announcing Collision. Now, there's a whole lot to be said about this, but I want to keep it kind of short because everybody's talking about it. We know the conversation. He talked about the show. He talked about the trip through Canada, through Regina, through all these other provinces of Canada for the memorial, for the Owen Hart Memorial, ending most likely with a Collision show. It was great. He pointedly did not talk about it starting in Chicago. Did not talk about Collision being in Chicago for the premiere date. He did announce next week there'll be an announcement. So, once again, we got an announcement of an announcement. It's becoming a meme. But I think somehow, once again, issues with Punk have reared their head. And this has become, I don't know what the fuck's going on. At one point, there was a release where Punk's name was on it, and it was official from Warner Brothers Discovery, and then they immediately retracted it. Punk's name has been mentioned nowhere at all, but he's been on Instagram going crazy like a child again. There's rumors that he wanted Ace Steel hired back, and that was a sticking point, but also rumors that Ace Steel has been working for the company for a couple of months now. But also that Ace Steel was supposed to get a backstage, but also that he wasn't allowed to be back. I don't fucking know what's going on anymore. So, that was TK's announcement. What'd you think?
I think, it's interesting. Alvarez from Wrestling Observer, who, a lot of people credit as the guy responsible for Punk losing his mind because of the stuff that was reported about Colt Cabana. Alvarez said yesterday before the announcement, he's like, there's no reason why Toni shouldn't introduce, these shows and announce these shows with Punk. Collision's going to be headlined by Punk. The first one's going to be in Chicago, headlined by Punk. And he's like, if Toni does not say introduce Punk for his announcement, then something's wrong. Something has probably gone wrong. Maybe not. Maybe they want to do it the same way they did it last time, where there's no official announcement. They're just going to put the United Center on sale, and people are just going to show up because it's implied that Punk's going to be there. Well, I mean, I guess the first thing I think of is I feel like Toni kind of betrayed people's trust a little bit with Sasha, with Mercedes, because she was being teased and wrestlers were making, and then she never showed up. She never competed in AEW. But I don't know. Is TK going to book the United Center and then not announce Punk and then not have Punk show up? Like, I mean, the fan backlash would just be like the crowd would just boo the entire show. Like, they would boo everyone out of the arena. It would be brutal. It would be horrible for business. So if there are issues with Punk right now, after all this kind of leaked hype about him headlining Collision, and it's going to be really bad for AEW. So I don't have a lot of confidence that Punk is going to, agree to any deal. So I don't know. I think this whole thing could end up being pretty bad. I mean, what is Collision going to do going against all those other Saturday night shows and all those other Saturday night sporting events if they don't have a huge headliner? And they're planning right now for the Elite and the BCC to be headlining Dynamite. Are they going to have these guys working 2 nights a week in order to pick up the slack because their other star, that this was built around, isn't showing up? So it's a tough situation, and who knows? Maybe Punk will come back and play nice, and the Punk and Bucks are friends in real life now, and they just laugh and joke about that, about what happened that night with Ace Steel, and Ace Steel is buddies with Kenny now, even though he bit Kenny. I don't know. You have both sides. The fact is, it's speculation from all of us because the people involved are not talking about it, so. It certainly keeps things interesting. There's a lot of guessing. There's a lot of speculation. And, we will have to wait and see what the announcement is next week. But they're running out of time to announce United Center a month away from now. So
I don't really know what's going on backstage. None of us do. It's odd looking in from the outside at some of the issues perceived that they're having. Whether or not they're actually having those actual issues, we don't know. So, Alvarez has stirred the pot a number of times. Yes, he's caused Punk to lose his mind a couple times. He also reports a lot of shit that just isn't factual. So, Alvarez is my least favorite reporter, is all I can say. His information is always questionable to me. But we'll see where things go. That's all I can say. We'll see. TK's doing the best he can, I guess. It's a new company. Shit happens. I'll continue to make up every possible excuse, but we support this company. We love the wrestlers, and we'll see. We'll just see. They got a month to make this shit work.
Yeah, I gotta go to bat for Alvarez. He's one of my favorites.
Okay.
I love his delivery. I love his wit. I love his snarky remarks. I love how he kind of trolls his haters on Twitter. It's just crazy to see this ungodly amount of people that troll Meltzer and Alvarez, and I love how they treat those people. So I don't know. Alvarez.
Speaking of trolls. Shout out to our new comment trolls. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate all of the engagement and interaction you brought to our most recent videos. So anybody else who wants to comment, please let us know down below all of your thoughts. We will reply to everybody as quickly as we can. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
All right. No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Alvarez and Meltzer, I listened to them earlier today. I think they had a show that it was released on YouTube this morning, and I think we already kind of hit on what they talked about, how this could have been involving Ace Steel, and they want Ace Steel to be leading creative.
I don't know.
They want Ace Steel to be involved in creative and backstage with the boys, that some of which he has bit and some of which he hasn't bit. So I really don't think that's a great idea.
No.
I know if I bite someone at work, I'm probably never going to be allowed in the building again. So I don't know. Wrestling's a different field though than corporate environment.
I mean, I bit somebody at work once, but she was okay with
it. Nice.
It was in the supply room. We won't get into it. Anyway,
it's another story for another day.
It really is for another story for another day. You're right.
I will hold you to that. I'm going to bring that up on every podcast we have until you finally tell the story.
Okay, fair enough. The next segment we move into is Jericho versus Roderick Strong. I thought that this match really helped him look strong. I don't know another word. He really came out looking like a very good wrestler, which from all reports he is. It was a false count anywhere. Adam Cole was restricted from being in the building. The setup was pretty obvious. Jericho Appreciation Society were also banned from the building. I expected the Jazz Boys to show up and get the pin for Jericho. Instead, as they brawled around, which, by the way, this was a great Falls Count Anywhere match. They had a pin attempt on the stairs. They went all through concessions. They had a pin attempt in the stairwell. They really, really, really went all over the place. They tore each other up with the hardest chops I have seen since I guess Ibushi, Inoki. I don't remember who exactly was against Jericho when his chest got tore up. But this had no blading. This was just pure chopping till you're red meat. It was great. They went all over the building. Eventually they went outside the building, where I thought the Jericho Appreciation Society was going to jump Roddy Strong and allow Jericho to win. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Turns out, Adam Cole wanted to jump Jericho in payback for what he did to Britt. So, like a real hero, they ganged up on him 2-on-1, eventually beat him in the planters, pinned him in the dirt, and Jericho was left laying in the dirt, looking up at the sky as Roddy Strong staggered around hurt, and Cole sort of smoldered into the camera, looking at Jericho all angrily. So, it continues the Jericho plot. I thought Roddy was going to lose. He won. He looked good. Wasn't a bad match. I learned more about Roderick Strong. I'll give it 2 thumbs up in a circle. What'd you think?
Cage match loved this match. They gave it a 8.7, which is one of the higher rated Dynamite matches ever. I would imagine it's probably top 50, maybe, which is, that's pretty impressive. I'm not a fan of False Count Anywhere matches. I just really don't like them in general. I did enjoy. I was intrigued by when Jericho and Roddy went out to the stairwell, because you know how those stairwells are in some of those arenas, especially the older ones. Like, you can look down the stairwell and it could be like a 20-floor drop in between.
Literally.
Yeah, and it's like, I was like, I'm like, I don't want to see these guys fucking around by a stairwell where if someone, they slip, they can fall and fall 200. Like, I just don't want to see people fighting on a stairwell where there's a huge drop. But it looked pretty safe. I'm not 100% how far the drop would have been between the stairwell and the little platform they were fighting on. But that was kind of cool, I guess, that they were fighting on that platform next to the stairs.
It looked like a good floor. It looked like a good 10-foot drop.
Right. But in between the railing and the wall, like, you couldn't tell how far down.
Oh, no. If they managed to fall in that gap, no.
Right. It was a small
gap.
Bad. And that's what I was worried about. I mean, it's just like completely unlikely, but
I think they did a great job being safe as possible in that environment.
Yeah, and I agree that I can't believe Jericho lost here. He's been losing a lot.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, Jericho was saying a couple of years ago that he only wanted to fight a few matches a year and kind of up his value and only fight on special occasions. And now he's jobbing out like left and right. And I think he's hurting his value. It's like, why should I care? Jericho just lost to, Adam Cole's sidekick, Roddy Strong. Why do I think that Jericho is going to have any chance against Adam Cole at Double or Nothing? So I don't know. I guess you got to expect the JAS to turn the tables next week to kind of up the feud and help turn the tide into Jericho's favor to make this match at Dawn interesting. But yeah, it's just, I mean, Cole's going to win. Cole's going to go over Jericho. Maybe it'll be a good match. We'll see. We'll probably sit through another 5-minute Walls of Jericho on the pay-per-view. And then Cole will end up getting away with the boom. So
I seriously thought Jericho was going to win because of the build-up for the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yep.
It made more sense that way. Now, if he loses to Cole, well, I don't know. I guess it makes Cole and Strong look good, but it just, I don't know. Jericho's winding down and he knows it, so he's jobbing out. Great, but I don't know. It's fine. Jericho's career is very odd at this point because, like, Starks didn't get anything from the feud, but that's not Jericho's fault. It came out of it. It was fine, but I don't know. I don't think he should have lost against Strong if they were going to then have Cole win at the pay-per-view. If Cole loses at the pay-per-view, then losing to Strong makes sense. That's the only logic I know that makes anything makes sense. And then it doesn't extend it against Cole, but make Cole, he lost. So devalues him. I don't know where they're going with this. It's fine. It was a good match. It was entertaining. They're having back and forth. I'm not sure where it's going is all.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll get, Jericho Appreciation Society will turn the tide and make Jericho look like more of a threat to actually win at the pay-per-view. Or maybe it'll end up being a tag match. Maybe O'Reilly shows up next week and we get a 3-on-3. We'll see what happens.
I haven't heard anything about O'Reilly. It'd be nice to see him back.
Sure would.
So the next match was Roosh versus Jack Perry. Now, when he was announced, my wife went, Roosh? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's Rush. I'm like, no, it's Roosh. It's in all capitals. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. It's a Mexican accent. Yeah, but it's Rush. Roosh, that's his name. Roosh. So she didn't get him, but it was a fun match in general, other than the spot of the night where I thought he was dead, which we mentioned.
Right.
Other than that, I thought it was a really good match. Roosh, really, he looked amazing. From the go, he was on Jack Perry. He was beating him down. Jack got no offense. He hit his comebacker lariat, and Roosh no-sold it. He bounced like he was fucking Superman. So Jack was from underneath the entire time, was just fighting, just really having trouble getting anything going against this Mexican powerhouse. And the very end of it was Jack managing to get a roll-up, the backwoods, the most powerful, the most powerful move in all of sports and entertainment, the roll-up. And he had to hold the trunks to win. So he got the win. He got the post-match beatdown, of course. But the story here is that he squeaked out a win against Roosh. Now, I thought there were some amazing moves. It was a great match. Other than the horrific one, they worked well together. I thought it came together well, and Roosh looked great. He looked powerful. What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was fine. Always good to see Roosh. He's a beast. He's a monster. He is one of the hardest hitters in the game.
Yeah.
Joey Janela. Someone posted a clip of Roosh doing his running like double knee strike or his drop kick in the corner of the guy's head. I forget the name of the move. And Janela's like,
Horns of the Bull. Horns of the Bull.
And Janela's like, I would never work that move. That's like the most ridiculous move I've ever seen. And, Janela's a guy that has jumped off buildings into pickup trucks filled with explosives and barbed wire and fluorescent lights. So for him to put over Roosh's finisher like that, I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, good match. I was glad to see Roosh. I was not glad to see him booked in a match that he was 100% going to lose. Because we were trying to build up Jack Perry a little bit for his Double or Nothing main event. Perry continues to look like the least of the pillars, and the other thing I noticed is Perry is not advertised on any of the posters. Like if you go to AEW Tix and look at all their events, they have the event posters, which generally but not necessarily shows you who's going to be main eventing, who's going to be featured on the show. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like Jack Perry's on any of those, which is weird. So, is his contract coming up to an end at the end of the year, and is maybe why Tony's kind of leaving him lagging behind the other pillars a little bit? I could see Perry going on and do something else. I mean, I don't think he needs the money, so Perry can do whatever the hell he wants with his life. So
I don't know. I have heard that that one of the proposed next ideas after the Four Pillars match is a one-on-one with Perry and MJF for the title. So I don't know. Maybe Tony's putting a lot of faith in Jack Perry where it doesn't belong, because my wife even pointed it out. She's like, that song is over. She knows it's the song that got Jack Perry over. Everybody knows it's the song. Tony knows it's the song. But the fact of the matter is, Jack's not a terrible wrestler. He can run with this momentum. I don't think he needs a singles title shot against MJF. He's not at that level compared to the other guys. This match was all Roosh. He took the pin, but he looked great, so I'm okay with it. During the post-match beatdown, because, of course, Preston Vance came out and they were all beating him up, Darby came out for the save. And then they still managed to outnumber him. Darby was beaten down. Jack was beaten down. Of course, you have two pillars in the ring. They're being beaten down. You know who's last. Sammy comes out, and he gets a massive face pop from the live crowd. He comes out. They clear the ring. Eventually, they give the respect three ways. But ultimately, it's every man for himself when it comes to Double or Nothing. So it was a very interesting segment, the way they continue to build Sammy as a face. I don't know why they're doing that, but they are. The only way they can do it is by keeping his wife off the shows. I think that's to the detriment of the women. I think Tay, Anna Jay, Willow, Sky Blue, they need to have more chances because the top of the card women are doing the exact same fucking thing every week. We talked about it with WWE repeat booking. This is the same shit. We've seen these ladies. Let's mix it up. Sammy, without Tay, is getting great face pops. We'll see if that continues. So
yeah, I haven't caught up with the All Access stuff, but yeah, I was certainly thinking about Ty yesterday during the show. Like, you know, she didn't even come out with Sammy last night. So hopefully, I'm hope Toni has something in store for her soon. And with them getting a second show, I think it makes sense that she, excuse me. I think with them getting a second show, it makes sense for Ty to get, there's going to be room for her to get more TV time. I hope so. So I'd love to see more from her.
Her and Anna were amazing faces. They were getting super popular. Anna got hurt, and Ty started doing singles matches, and she started to get super popular, and then nothing. So I'm really upset that they haven't been able to do more with them. I thought Ty had a tremendous groundswell of support. Maybe her marrying Sammy hurt. I don't know, but hopefully we see more of them. So after the Pillars match, they had another segment with teleporting Renee. We'll see more of her. And she was back there and she was with MJF and she asked him about his opinion and how he's feeling about the match. And in typical MJF fashion, he gave the absolute perfect promo response. He slapped the ever-loving shit out of the mic, slapped it out of her hand, and walked out angrily. I thought it was a perfect segment for him, showing just how angry and upset he is. Didn't even have to say a word. Then, immediately teleported to Renee with Toni Storm, who gave a nice, fiery heel promo. So, between the two of them, it was fun. But Renee is everywhere in this company. What did you think about the two little segments with Renee backstage?
I thought MJF smacking her hand like that was kind of a reason for Mox to take a note, raise an eyebrow. I was like almost waiting for, when MJF walked off the camera to hear a scuffle and to see Mox pounding on MJF. But that wouldn't make any sense for, promoting Double or Nothing. No. But maybe afterwards, maybe after Double or Nothing. I don't think BCC and Elite are going to be anywhere close to finished with their feud. So, it might be a while before Mox gets to get his receipt on MJF for that. But yeah, it wasn't very nice. As for the Storm promo, yeah, looking forward to her match against Hayter at Double or Nothing. It should be one of the better matches of the night.
Yeah, I hope that Toni versus Hayter at Double or Nothing is a show stealer. That's what I'm hoping. I hope Hayter comes in healthy. I know they can have a great match. I just really hope they have an amazing match. That's all. And we roll into the last segment that we're going to talk about because we already talked about the closing segment, and that was the main event with Jay White versus Mitty Starks. I thought this match was okay. The fans were certainly into it. Ricky resonated with, again, the Texas crowd. But it had one of the finishes that just doesn't happen in AEW much. And I think it took a lot away from it. Took the kind of the wind from the audience, and all it did was extend out the feud for the pay-per-view. So why have the match at all? And it was Jay White versus Ricky Starks, ending in a DQ. And it was weird because Juice brought the chair in. He swung at Ricky, missed. Ricky took it. He hit Juice. The ref didn't care about that because he wasn't in the match. And then right in front of the referee, Ricky Starks just hits Jay White right in the back for no reason. And then he disqualifies him. Of course he disqualifies him. So I was a little let down by the ending. I didn't like how the match ended. It's cop out. It's WWE booking. If you're going to put them in a match, at least have a winner. If you don't want them to, either one of them to lose, don't do the match, or have a tag match, or do something, but don't do a one-on-one with a DQ end. So I had a problem with that ending. Otherwise, it was an okay match. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, you stole my thunder. I had a rant in the chat room after that match ended. I thought it was a decent match up to, and I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. Just that finish was completely unnecessary. To cop out like that and to not use your fucking brain to come up with a better finish. It was awful, and I really hope this is a one-off and it was an exception. And I wonder if, like, I don't know, maybe there was a miscommunication and they said, well, let's just end the match quick with a chair shot and a DQ because something wasn't right. I don't know. It's the first match I've seen like this in AEW history, which is crazy. I mean, there's been a few DQs, but they've all been part of a storyline where it made sense. This was just fucking dumb, and it was just a horrible way to extend the feud. If this was a match on Dark or something like that, fine, but not in the main event of Dynamite. That's where you bring in a guy like Jay White, and you got him winning a match by fucking DQ for no reason. Not happy with it. Cage match was a lot more forgiving than we were. They gave this match a 7-3, but come on, it was a WWE finish and it was a lazy finish, and there's just no place for it in AEW. It's not following the spirit of the company. So I don't know what this sets up. I don't know if Ricky Starks is going to have a partner, and we're going to get Jay and Juice, the Golden Bullet Club, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, against Ricky Starks. And I don't know who's going to join Ricky. Is it going to be Hook? Is it going to be Keith Lee? I don't know. But I just don't know where this is going. It was kind of frustrating. Maybe next week we'll get some more clarity and some more direction going into the pay-per-view, what's going on with these guys. So
Hopefully. They again, a lot of people rated this show extremely high. And I was like, yeah, no, there were parts that were really good, but like this Ricky match, this Starks match sucked. I was not happy with it. So, it ended poorly. They finished it off great. They moved along, and then they brought out Don Callis. It doesn't surprise me that the ratings tanked at the end of this show. Because the way they promoted it, first of all, who the fuck wants to see Starks versus Jay White? That is not a draw. And then Don Callis. Okay, maybe people wanted to hear what Don Callis had to say, but in general, people didn't expect it to end the way it did, so they didn't stay tuned. They didn't care. I know for a fact Jay White lost me. I got bored as crap last night. In the rewatch today, I got bored as crap. It was a boring ass match. And I really hope that they can pull it out somehow, that something that they can do, some change that they can make to this feud can bring a spark to it. Because right now, it is a damp fucking towel over a hair burn. And I don't know if you've ever burned hair, but that stinks. Then you add a damp towel to a burning hair mess, and all you get is a wet, nasty, sticky, disgusting, smelling, foul. That's sort of the way I feel about this feud.
Yeah, I was lighting a grill once, and it wasn't quite sparking up, and so I left the gas on a little too long and lit it, and I got a nice gust of flames in my face.
Yeah.
Some of my bangs, and yeah, it does not smell good. So
I will tell you, burnt hair is bad.
I disagree with your assessment of the match. I don't think it was boring. I thought it was a decent match. I just didn't like the finish, but I thought otherwise they had the crowd. I thought otherwise the psychology and the flow of the match was typical for an above average match with two decently technical guys. But yeah, the finish killed me, and hopefully we can improve from there next week.
Yep. And that is the end of the show. That brings us to the very end of our show. And certainly we appreciate everybody who has been listening in. If you're still with us, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear you. If you're still with us, like, subscribe, share, anything of that nature. Join us in the Discord. We'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments, in the Discord. Share some memes, tell some stories, whatever you want to do. You got any final words? This was a well-rated show across the board from most people.
I haven't really seen the Dynamite card. I'm sorry, the Rampage card. I don't know that I need to, just because of how uneventful that show's been. But looking forward to next week. Looking forward to Toni's announcement, probably more than anything. And yeah, it sounds like we're all set with what's going on with the Elite. We're going to get a 4-on-4 match. Takeshita might show up in that match. He might not. So yeah, I guess we're in a little bit of a holding pattern until next week to find out what that final Double or Nothing card is going to look like. But hopefully they can do some things to spruce it up a little bit, because they need to sell the rest of them tickets. There's 2,500 left, so
maybe they'll just paper them. WWE did great papering,
right? Or maybe Toni can just buy them, like he bought all 60,000 seats in Wembley.
There you go. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Don't forget to join us at EliteMarkOrder.com. Don't forget to join us in the Discord. Don't forget to leave your like, comment, subscribe, comment down below. We love you, and JJ for life.